A couple decides to take their son to a neuroscience institute to understand what's happening with him. The doctor in charge explains how the place can help Christian develop social and emotional skills and learn how to better handle the world around him. Christian's mother considers leaving him there, believing it's the best place for him, but his father, a strict military man, rejects the idea. He insists the world won't be kind to his son, so Christian must be strong enough to face it. Meanwhile, in the waiting room, Christian is putting together a puzzle, quietly repeating words to himself. He assembles it quickly, but one piece is missing. The boy starts to panic when he can't find it, until a little girl nearby picks up the piece from the floor and hands it to him. Christian calms down, takes it, and locks it into place. He finishes the puzzle perfectly, but upside down. Years pass, and we now see Christian as an adult, working as an accountant. In his office, a couple of farmers explain they're having trouble with their taxes and need help to keep the government from taking their land. Christian listens carefully and answers in short, direct sentences, laying out legal ways to cut their taxes and save the farm. At the end, the farmer thanks him and tells Chris he's welcome to practice target shooting on their land anytime he wants. In another scene, Mary Beth Medina, an analyst at the Treasury Department, is called into the office of Mr. King, the director. King starts the conversation by praising her accomplishments, then asks why she still holds such a low position. Medina says she enjoys her work, but King pushes back, saying she's lying, then shows her records. In them, he discovers Medina was arrested in her youth and has a gun tattoo. He warns her about the seriousness of lying on a federal form and questions how she even got the job with a background like hers. As Medina tries to leave, King stops her. He tells her she'll have to work a case for him if she wants to keep her job. Then he hands her a set of photos. Each one shows the same man in a suit, standing beside different criminals. In every case, he uses a different alias, but always with the same role, accountant. King reveals he'll be retiring in 7 months, and Medina has until the end of the month to uncover the accountant's true identity and close the case, or she'll lose her job. At home, Chris prepares his dinner with precise, repetitive movements. After eating, he heads to his room. There, he switches on a strobe light, blasts loud music, sits on the bed, and rolls a bar along his shin like a massage. The routine triggers flashes from his past, his mother walking out when he was a boy, leaving him to grow up under his father's strict hand. The next morning, Chris practices target shooting on the farm of the client he visited the day before. The farmer is stunned by his accuracy. Later, Chris drives to a storage garage where he keeps his trailer. Inside, he's hidden priceless paintings, stacks of cash, and an arsenal of weapons. He turns on some instrumental music, lies down, and memories flood back. His time in prison, where a cellmate taught him how to socialize and manage money for dangerous criminals. The side job that became his second life. Chris wakes to a phone call. On the line, a voice advises him to take on more ordinary clients. His unusual behavior is starting to raise suspicion. Then the caller lays out a new job. Go over the books of a legitimate company called Living Robotics, a cover to throw people off his trail. Chris accepts and attends the meeting at Living Robotics. During the conversation with the company's founders, they reveal that an employee in accounting uncovered signs that someone's been siphoning off profits. That's why they brought Chris in. He listens carefully, nods, and agrees to start the very next day. Meanwhile, Medina reviews the photos King handed her. He isolates the accountant's face and sends it off for facial recognition analysis. We're then introduced to Brax, a lethal mercenary skilled in security and eliminations. In the scene, he slips into a man's car in a parking lot, points a gun at him, and orders him to stop selling stolen money from other firms. After a brutal beating, the terrified man finally agrees. The following morning, Chris arrives at the company. As he enters the conference room, he finds a young woman asleep at the table. He wakes her, and embarrassed, she apologizes and introduces herself as Dana, the employee who first noticed the irregularities. Dana shows him the documents she set aside and tries to help with the process, but Chris refuses, and she reluctantly leaves him to work alone. At the same time, Medina gets a call from Homeland Security during a press briefing. They inform her they have identified an audio recording of the accountant attacking a man, begging for his life before being executed. During lunch, Dana spots Chris and takes the chance to strike up a conversation. Chris struggles a bit to socialize, but soon Dana opens up, sharing a personal story about her father and how he inspired the career she chose. After lunch, Chris starts scribbling calculations across the whiteboard, stretching them onto the glass windows around the room. He covers the entire space with numbers until he finds a flaw. He calls Dana over to show her the money leak. He explains that someone has been funneling cash into a company that doesn't even exist. Dana is shocked when she realizes she's the one who authorized those payments. Rita, the head of the company, steps in and tells Dana to leave. She pushes Chris for answers, but he admits he hasn't reached a conclusion yet and insists he needs more time. Back at Medina's place, she keeps replaying the audio file, dissecting every detail. Using tech to isolate the accountant's voice, she notices something chilling. Before finishing off his victim, he hums a children's lullaby to himself. That night, Brax pays a visit to Ed, one of the robotics firm's investors. Brax orders him to inject himself with insulin until it kills him, so his wife can cash in the life insurance. If Ed refuses, Brax threatens to make both him and his wife suffer. With no way out, Ed injects the dose into his own arm. The next day, Chris finds staff erasing his calculations and gathering up his papers. Just then, Lamar, the company owner, shows up as Chris tells them to stop. Lamar fires Chris on the spot, claiming Ed killed himself the night before after being caught stealing from the company. Chris goes home and punishes himself, beating his shins while blasting loud music under strobe lights. He's hit with another flashback, his mother abandoning the family. In a fit of rage, he snaps the wooden stick against his leg and hurls his pill bottle across the room. The next morning, Chris drives out to a ranch, unaware a car is tailing him. Once there, memories of his childhood with his brother Brax flood back when their father hired a trainer to teach them how to fight. Meanwhile, the farm couple is being held hostage. One thug orders Dolores, the farmer's wife, to call Chris and marches her to the door with a gun pressed to her head. Chris reacts fast, shooting the man's hand. A second thug forces the couple into a pickup to escape, but Chris chases them down. He overpowers the man in a brutal fight, interrogates him, and learns little. The guy only admits he was hired to kill Chris and Dana, flashing a photo of her as proof. Moments later, Chris puts him down for good. Chris leaves the farm and rushes after Dana. When he arrives, he sees a man trailing her into an elevator. Chris sprints to catch them. Dana reaches her apartment and is met by two men claiming they have a delivery. They shove her inside, but Dana manages to fight one off and lock herself in the bathroom. Chris bursts in, eliminates the intruders, and takes Dana back to his trailer. Brax gets a call. His men have been wiped out by the accountant. Meanwhile, Medina digs deeper, trying to unmask him. She gets an update about the audio files she sent out. They tell her the man she's chasing likely has a disorder that makes him sing that lullaby whenever he's under stress. Medina then heads to the IRS office, where she uncovers the truth. The accountant's name is Chris, and he works out of a small accounting office in Plainfield, Illinois. In the trailer, Dana finds Chris's paintings, the cash, and his entire arsenal. She asks why he has all of that, but Chris brushes it off. Soon after, they head to a hotel to hide. Dana keeps pressing him about the trailer. Chris explains that his father was in the military and forced him to train to stand up to bullies. He then opens up to Dana, admitting he has autism, and that no matter how hard he tries, being social isn't easy. At one point, Dana leans in to kiss him, but Chris turns away. He quickly changes the subject, saying the embezzlement at the robotics company was actually a scheme by the partners. After gathering the intel, Medina hands the files to King, who sends a team to Chris's house to log every weapon, serial number, and the security system. That night, Chris tails Brax through the streets but gets spotted and comes under fire. He keeps chasing and ends up in a hotel room, where he finds Rita dead. Back in his room, seeing Dana asleep, Chris flashes back to a traumatic memory from childhood with his father and brother. Realizing the danger Dana is in, he decides to leave her behind to keep her safe. Elsewhere, Lamar hires Brax to install a security system in his home to protect himself from Chris. King and Medina dismiss their team and talk privately about the girl's arrest. Medina confesses he took out a dealer who'd been supplying his sister and says he has no regrets. King admits he's been after the accountant for years, and once when he almost caught him, he heard Chris kill a man. Soon after, Chris held him hostage. Yet, once King told him he was a father, Chris spared him. King says he took that as a sign to let the case go, but then a woman called about an illegal deal. He kept digging, using her as an informant. He also interviewed Chris's former cellmate, who'd been a federal informant before going to prison for aiding criminals. Once released, the same criminals tortured and killed him. That pushed Chris over the edge, leading to his escape. In the middle of the conversation, the phone rings. Medina picks up. On the other end, a voice talks about the robotics company. Chris storms Lamar's estate, taking out his men one by one. Brax watches through the cameras as his crew advances. On the feed, Brax realizes it's Chris, his younger brother, and orders his men to fall back. Brax explodes with anger, blaming Chris for not speaking in over a decade and for their father's death. The two brothers fight, but soon reconcile. Lamar barges in, mocks them, and Chris kills him. Meanwhile, other parents arrive at the Neuroscience Institute, desperate for help with their son. The boy wanders into a room where he finds Justine, the director's daughter, and the same girl who once helped Chris with a puzzle years ago. The director explains Justine is nonverbal, but communicates through a computer, and the voice coming from that computer is the same one that's been calling Chris. In the final scene, Dana is fixing up her apartment when a package arrives. Inside, she finds a famous painting, but when she notices a loose corner and pulls it back, she uncovers another painting underneath, the same one from Chris's trailer. That's the movie for today. Drop your thoughts down below and tell me what you think. I'm Gustavo Marquez, signing off. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.